We've been talking about the misclassification of crime numbers. So this got brought to my attention yesterday. Daniel Cafaro Hill. I'm going to show you some videos in a second, but I just want to read his post. Yesterday, my brother was followed home from TD Bank by two masked men. One waited 3 minutes after he parked. Then he tried to lure with a distraction pointing to the ground while planting nails under his tires. As he walked away, a second man approached. Thank God for the neighbors walking by. That presence may have been the only thing that saved him from being robbed. This was a setup clear as day. But here's the part that really hurts. This wasn't even considered as an attempted robbery. The police labeled it harassment because no threats were made and no force was used. That's it. That's all it gets. My own family is questioning me. You run a patrol. You have resources. Why didn't you do more? But I already know how this plays out. The cops don't want to arrest or even investigate because they know the DAs won't prosecute. Precincts are short. Officers are overworked. Morale is shot. Even when they want help, they can't. And the worst part, the city keeps pushing the narrative that the crime is down over and over. But now they've made sure no one can fact check that. Ever since they encrypted the police scanners, the public has been completely shut out. No way to verify what is really going on. No way to stay aware. No accountability. If you don't see it and you can't hear it, it didn't happen. That's how they protect their version of the truth. The city can continue to say crime is down, but I live here. I see what's happening. Cars are getting stolen. Homes are getting broken into. Businesses are getting robbed. It's getting worse. And we're all just supposed to live with it. This is not okay. This is not normal. And if this can happen to my brother, it can happen to anyone. So I'm going to bring up the first of the videos. And you see here, you're going to see one of the masked men walking by. He's clearly, he's just hanging out. He's hanging out, right? Like, what's that guy doing? What's he doing? Is he a lookout? Notice how he gets raised up when the bus comes. He's just hanging out. Here he is dropping tacks around the car. Did you see that? He dropped the nails and all that. And now he's pointing to the ground after he did it. Look, and there's Danny's brother right there in the red jacket. He's pointing to the ground, right? He just dropped the tacks. Ready? I'm going to go back. Watch what happens. Watch his hand. Look, he throws, you see the tacks hit the ground? He throws the box of the tacks. He distracts him. Now he's saying, look, somebody put thumbtacks under your car. I want you to look up in the top right, too. There's a neighbor out there. There's cars passing by. That person's very observant. He shows him the tacks. He's weirded out by this, right? Look, and he's still trying to get him to point. Here comes the second individual. Look, and now he's trying to get him off. Here comes the second individual masked, walking. But the woman's there, and there's a car coming in the rain. So that's the first video. Here, let's go to the second. Here, let's go to a different version of this video now. Another angle. So here we go. Here's Danny's brother in the red. Here's the second guy following him, right? Right? That was not the first guy. That was the second guy tries to follow him. Look, notice the first guy was in the gray sweater. So look, he's telling him something. He is the second guy. He closes. Now he tries to talk to him. That's when the third video comes. But there were too many cars and people on the street. So clear as day, this is an attempted robbery. This is a robbery crew, more than likely, that's operating in New York City. This is probably a citywide pattern. Not that it's being documented anywhere, unless maybe you're robbed and they document it properly, but no one's going to know that any of this is happening as a result. So, and it's way larger than harassment for this. So for those of you that are on patrol and you're like, oh, it's not a big deal. What do you want us to do? Nothing happened. First off, Danny actually goes as far as to, and I'm going to bring that up in 1 second, to show the damage that was done to the tires. They actually did put nails and tacks inside of his tires. Criminal mischief right there. And they didn't, and so now the guy needs new tires. But they didn't even document that properly. And what we're doing by this is we're just creating more victims. So Danny brother gets off easy because he didn't get robbed. He just has to go pay $500 for a new tire and whatever other damage they did to his car. He's a little traumatized because he got followed home from the bank by two guys. But across New York City, I mean, these people have probably done this to numerous people and actually been successful at robbing them. And they will continue to do this throughout New York City until they are apprehended and caught. And when they are, people like Danny's brother and those crimes will never be brought to justice for those crimes because they're not even documented. So this, to me, is a huge failure in the NYPD. This is valuable intelligence that not only members of the community should be made aware of, but members of the NYPD on patrol should be made aware of. And like I said when I retweeted the post, I said this is probably part of a very large robbery pattern that's occurring in New York City, but we don't even know it because we're not documenting it properly. And I always, as a cop, I always said, every situation I was in, I said, what would I want for a member of my family? What would I expect me to do for a member of my family? What would I say that a cop should do if my mother called the police, if my sister called the police, if my brother was being victim? And that's not what I would do. I would not just document a harassment and leave it alone because I know the valuable intelligence that was lost there that day. And it's a damn shame. And this is something that needs to be corrected in the NYPD. Whether they take a number for attempted robbery or not, there needs to be something to rectify this because I've seen this happen over and over and over again in my career where we lose valuable intelligence because nobody will do anything until the act happens.
Yeah, I mean, is it just that the cops, don't want to take the report because they're going to get yelled at when they bring the 61 in, the complaint report into the precinct, and the CO is going to look at it and say, what are you doing to me? I'm only one number away from, my robberies. I can't take another number. You're going to put me over. Why are you doing this? Or is it that they're just inept, that they don't realize that this person throwing these tacks down is either a diversion that they could then attack that individual and get whatever funds or whatever he brought back from the bank, or that they drive away and they get a flat and then they pull up behind him and say, hey, we're here to help help you fix the flat, and pull him to the back while the other guy reaches into the car and steals them. And we've seen that where guys have come out of jewelry stores, they buy diamond rings and they're followed, and they get a flat because somebody's put something on their tire. When they pull over, if the ruse is to, hey, I'm going to help you fix the flat, come here, help me with the lug nuts. And as you're helping them, the other guy comes around and reaches in the car and steals whatever jewelry or whatever you got. So if you don't report it, like you said, John, absolutely, the pattern identification module, right, to make sure that if there's a pattern and put it together, whether it's a precinct pattern, a borough pattern, a citywide pattern. If you don't document those things, then you don't give the awareness to the people that are out in the city, and you can't have a response to it. So if my mother-in-law lives in the Bronx, if she comes out and she sees tacks under her tire, hey, go back in the house and get somebody to come out with you and call the cops. But if they don't know about that pattern and they don't know that something else is going to happen, they just think, oh, when did I pick up these tacks in the tire? So it's a complete breakdown of law enforcement and, looking ahead and trying to find the crime and then preventing it. Don't be reactive, be proactive. And the only way you're proactive is if you know what's going on in the city, in your borough, and in your command. Without that, you're just aimlessly driving around and taking BS complaint reports for harassment when in fact it's not.
Yeah. Several questions come to mind when I see this. I think when you see how many people are actually being stopped on the street now, because uh, because the behavior of these guys on the street is something that if I was driving around in a patrol car and I see them, I'd be asking questions, But the other question is, the other elephant in the room here is manpower. And we've talked about this before, about the department being undermanned right now. But something else that hurts it is, as the summer comes and we traditionally have the uptick in violence, the city is busy reallocating manpower and shifting them away from precincts. So I don't know which precinct this occurred in, and I tried to find out, but I don't think
It's in Queens, and I believe it's in Ozone Park. I believe this occurs in Ozone Park in Queens.
Yeah. So then my question is, how many cops has Ozone Park lost to the summer all out? And how much of a detriment is that to the precincts that some of these precincts that are losing manpower are precincts that are in relatively decent areas of the city, but it's a detriment to them if they're losing that manpower, and the city's already short of manpower, and that manpower is now being shifted to areas that are traditionally more higher in crime. In a lot of ways, these neighborhoods will pay for being they're actually being penalized for being more secure and being having a higher quality of life in the city. So when I see this, and when I see the manipulation of crime stats and the splitting of hairs, because it's convenient to keeping the numbers down, I have to wonder how much of this is really because of the shortage of cops that we have, and the the lack of resources that these precincts are now facing. So those of you who are watching this, and you live in the city, you really need to go to your community council meetings, and participate. And that's something I've started to do recently. And this is how I kind of found out my precinct has lost a couple bodies for some all out as well. But if you're watching this and you're seeing what's happening now, you really got to go to your community council meeting and participate and try to be a part of what's going on, so that we prevent our neighborhoods from degrading further, as the city seems to be going rudderless right now.
Yeah, I mean, and to be fair, I'm not just totally I think this failure is something that's been going on for a long time in the NYPD. I'm not laying this on Tish or Eric Adams. I'm not saying a lot of what they're doing is right, and I think a lot of what Daniel said is correct. But this is a failure. I'll tell you a story. I was a rookie sergeant. I get assigned to the 6-6. I got patrol. I have a busy day that day. I have a suicide. I have a missing. I have a barricaded EDP. It's right off the gate. It's insane. But I get one call from a bank manager on 13th Avenue, and he's like, listen, I have a really weird thing. These two guys keep coming in here masked. This is the second time they're in here, and they're casing the bank. So I'm like, all right. So I watch all the videos. He gets me videos. I give him my email or whatever. He gets me the videos. And so now I'm like, they didn't rob the bank, but nothing happened. But sure as shit, in my opinion, they are 100% casing that bank to hit that bank another day. It was the second time they came. He was actually diligent enough to get me the 2 days, where they were, what they did, how they acted. Very, very strange, right? And my thing is, there was no crime that had happened, but these are two individuals, these are two suspects that should be documented.
You've just watched a clip from our live episode. Click the description to watch the full episode. Like, share, and subscribe for more videos just like this.